Hashtag no music, no intro, a video version of the hashtag Saints for the podcast coming at you. Ryan and I are kind of in shock. Earlier this season, we got to have Lance Moore on. And now not only do we have Super Bowl winning safety, former player for the Saints, Roman Harper, on the podcast, we also have superfan Dark Saint, my dude Max, who I've known for years now, doing a big collab video podcast episode. Thank y'all so much for coming on. We truly, truly appreciate it.
Yeah, man, happy to be here.
I want to just start with Roman, your relationship with Max, of how that, because I love seeing that, right? I think that's very a New Orleans type of thing, where a player on the team can become good friends with a fan, a super fan like Max. How did that friendship even cultivate?
I think Max may be better at telling this because it's been so long, but it was at the restaurant, because defense dinner, we would come there, and I think we came to your spot. I think that was the first time we ever met, Max, or maybe I came by myself that one time. I can't remember, but eventually we brought the defense through at some point, and then I just recall Max saying that he was like Darth Saint, look, as a player, you don't actually know all these characters that are in the stands. Right? Like you see some on the Jumbotron here, but you don't actually piece it together like who they are, where their seat is at, like all it's a whole thing there in New Orleans. So so when he showed me his whole Darth Saint outfit or get up or whatever he calls it, I was really blown away by it. I was really taken back because he looks like a normal dude, but in my mind, up until that point, I only thought like maniacs and crazy people dressed up for games. You know what I'm saying? Like putting on a jersey is about as far as I'm able to go. But like he was like all in. So to actually meet somebody that actually did that and seem normal was kind of new for me as a football player at the time. And we've just continued this relationship. Like Max is a great dude. I hit him up all the time. He hits me up. And I always know it's getting close to draft time because he hits me up with all the guys that he thinks is on his draft list of who the Saints should draft, where he has them ranked at. And he always reminds me when he actually does get a couple of these right that, hey, this guy was going to be this. And then I always remind him like, hey, I was the first one on Chris Olave. Was I not, Max?
Yeah, you were.
This is this and this. And so we always compare notes. So anytime it gets close to draft season, we really start pinging each other a lot.
Me and Max don't let anyone forget our Patrick Mahomes love. Like we front and center.
Oh yeah, he was driving the ship, but I was the co-pilot. So we were both on it though. We knew it, man. We knew it.
I didn't even know who Patrick Mahomes was. So my college roommate was a scout for the Green Bay Packers at the time, and he said the most interesting things that he had seen in that draft class was he said this quarterback named Patrick Mahomes. He has like crazy arm strength. He was like, dude, the guy can throw a ball like 80 yards. It's crazy. He said the film is not good, because he's all over the place. He's running all over the place. They put up 70 points a game, 50 points a game, and they still lose. He's not being coached up really well. But if he goes through the right system, he can be really, really special. And also the wide receiver that came out that year, Ross, I believe his name was. And he went out there and ran broke the record for fastest 40 time. He said he wanted to see him run, and he wanted to see Patrick Mahomes. Those were the two big question marks. So my boy was on it too. So he wasn't completely on the radar.
So, Roman, I mean, with your work during the college, ESPN College Game Day and all that stuff, how focused do you plan on getting, into the NFL draft? Do you plan on diving into that this offseason, or are you going to stay strictly, on the college game?
So the college game has allowed me to see guys before everybody else sees them. I specifically focus in on the SEC, but I, now in this off time, because now I truly get off for a little while, so I'm not really grinding on tape as much right now. So I'm 100% as being a basketball dad is what I call myself right now. And but I did just text Todd McShay yesterday. We talked for a second, and I told him I want to see who all his guys are. So I want him to send me all of his top DBs, and then I'll probably start breaking them down from there on who I like, who I don't like, and then kind of giving him my feedback, and then. Of course, I'll share with the organization that I love. You know what I mean? I'll talk to Mickey and those guys, and I've talked to Mickey about stuff like that previously. So if they ever ask my opinion, I'll always give it to them wholeheartedly. And Mickey loves my input on anything. I would consider him a really, really good friend now at this point in my life. It's crazy.
That's crazy.
How it has grown to where it is, but I consider him a really good friend now.
Yeah, it's funny. After we drafted Alontae Taylor last year in the second round, a lot of fans were doing the whole like, who's this guy? Why are we picking him in the second round? So I texted Bohm, and he kind of gave me the breakdown. He's like, "No, man, this dude's good. You're gonna like him. He's gonna be a good player." So, and he was spot on with it.
And they loved him as a special teams guy starting out, eventually getting him in the rotation. They had some young corners out there, and you can never have enough guys that can cover. I thought he was a physical guy at the point of attack. He really liked tackling. His coverage skills were okay, but Tennessee's secondary is trash. So sometimes you got to play with better players around you, and then that'll make you a better player. And sometimes that's all you need. So they really liked his size, his skill set. I mean, I was a little shocked at where they took him just because I thought they had more needs in other places. But, hey, look, people were shocked when they took me. So, I mean, I can't say anything either, bro. I'm just
second round pick.
It's not about how you get there. It's what you do when you get there.
Exactly. That 2006
you know what? Yeah, and I was about to say, that 2006 draft, we were all so high on getting Reggie that year. Anything else was coming.
Didn't matter. Who?
Yeah, it didn't matter at that point, man. But then it becomes the, arguably the best draft class, if not the best, probably the second best in Saints history. So, yeah,
well, who's the best? Who's the best?
I mean, I think the debate is 2006 and 2017. That would be the debate.
My thing is 2006 propelled him to a Super Bowl. So, I mean,
there it is.
That's true.
There it is.
Can't outdo that.
And 17, man, dude, that was such a good class, but they just – I mean, it's sad because we're going to look up and they're all going to be gone. And they haven't accomplished what we all initially said that they could do. I mean, you had Lattimore, you had Ramczyk, you had Kamara, you had – who else did they have in that draft?
Marcus Williams.
Marcus
Williams. So
Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah, Trey. Like, man, this class was so good. But you're not able to keep all the pieces together. And then you look up and you're like, man, that was one of our best draft classes. But outside of their own individual accolades, what did they do? And so they may have more individual accolades themselves than we did because we're not going to have a ton of Pro Bowls. Jari made Pro Bowls. I made a couple Pro Bowls. And other than that, that's about it in our draft class. But Drew came with us. Reggie was who Reggie was. They may have more individual accolades, but as a team, we kind of changed the whole trajectory of the whole organization as a whole.
100%.
Absolutely.
So it's just a little bit different, and also the Saints had missed on so many draft classes and draft picks before that 2017 season, right? Like, man, they had some bad swing and misses for a couple of years there. Man,
Jean Baptiste.
They had some bad swings and misses in a couple years before that, and they were really, and then all of a sudden they hit a couple of really big home runs.
Bro, let me ask you. I gotta ask you this: as players, were y'all ever like, what are they doing? Like, or were y'all just like, whatever? I just always was curious about that.
Well, yes and no. So, I mean, you kind of trying to understand what were they thinking, especially when it comes to like size, weight, some of these things. You're like, okay, you check a lot of the boxes. Right. But then some guys, you're like, bro, how did this? Like, for example, my draft class. I mean, we took Mike Haas in the 5th round, 6th round.
Oregon State.
Yeah. I just saw Mike Haas. He went into the Peach Bowl Hall of Fame down in Georgia because what he did at Oregon State in the bowl game. So that was the first time I seen him since 2006 when we were in training camp. It was great. Took a picture with him. He's doing awesome. He's got 3 kids. He's living out there in Oregon, Portland. Like, he's doing good. But, they draft him in the 5th round, 6th round, whatever it was. And then we draft Colston. And, I see Colston, bro. Colston's back's locking up in rookie camp. Like, dude can't move for real. He was 230. Came back, man, lost 12, 15 pounds and caught everything. And so you just don't really know and how this whole thing shakes out, who's going to stay healthy. My boy Rob Ninkovich, I thought he'd been great for us. We cut him twice. It's like you just don't know, man. And, you don't know exactly how you're going to get there or what's your end goal going to be. And sometimes you just need a change of scenery. I think a change of scenery, some guys, times at the right time, does a lot of guys really well.
So I have a question that Ryan and I it's just not us, but I think a general annoyance sometimes we as fans have with Mickey is a tendency of him kind of waiting to the last minute when players are close to free agency instead of maybe extending players earlier or oh, contract's on the table. What you going to do? What was your experience? I know obviously you left to division rival. You went to Carolina. You don't got to get into numbers, but what was your experience, or I guess your agent's experience dealing with Mickey in terms of that side of the business?
So after my third year, I'd started every game. So in my mind, I'm like, bro, I mean, I'm gonna get paid, right? But going into my last year of my contract, that was after going into my fourth year, I was like, I'd like to get something. And they were like, no. And we need you to do more leadership, this, and this. And I was just like, oh man, okay. Because all you can have is what you can compare yourself to your peers. And so other guys that have been starting or whatever, they were starting to get deals after 3 years. I did not. They still want to see more. I don't think everybody in the organization was all in on me, including my head coach, Sean Payton, at the time. So he was not all in on me. I know that guaranteed. But it was deservedly so. I hadn't played my best. I became a better player as I started to improve. And all of a sudden I had a defensive coordinator, that Greg Williams, who believed in me and helped me do some things the correct way. So that's what I talk about, system, fit, all these things kind of going hand in hand. And also having good players around you. You know, bringing in Jabari Greer, bringing in Darren Sharper, bringing in Jonathan Vilman the year before, who now is a leader in our defense now. Bringing in guys like Remy Ayadel or Bobby McCray that year. All these little pieces kind of all came in and made us a better defense. So when I'm on a better defense, I shine just as much because everybody else is doing well too. So it's all those factors. But I went through it a weird way because I was supposed to get broke off. Not saying I didn't, but I was really supposed to get paid. And because we won a Super Bowl, I went to my first Pro Bowl, and I was going to be a free agent. But that was the time the owners opted out of the CBA, so you had to be 6 years. So you had to be 6 years to be an unrestricted free agent. And then nobody signed anybody. Remember that? That was almost like a collusion type deal with the owners where they nobody's paying anybody unless you're an unrestricted. And you had to be at least 7 years. So I think Julius Peppers was one of the only guys that really got paid. I got hit with I got hit with some kind of tender or something. I mean, that was the first time I made over $1 million in a season, according to my salary. Was going into my fifth year, and then I never forget, man, because Darren Sharper was laughing at me, dog. He's like, Roman, how does it make you feel that you getting paid the same amount of money as Sadie Piscatelli? I'm like, bro. It's ridiculous, but it was what it was. So. And what you guys talking about, even with Mickey and those guys waiting till the last moment, Jari got hit with a first round tender that year. I got hit with a second round tender. They paid Ja that offseason. And then the following season, we were in the lockout form. So then when they decided to end the lockout, we had 3 weeks before training camp. Yeah. So instead of going months and months of free agency talk and back and forth, I mean, because you only had 2 weeks to strike a deal, instead of them giving us their D or C offer and then trying to negotiate, they were like, okay, here's what we want. And the best thing was we were kind of negotiating with ourselves because at the time we had some other teams that were interested, but nobody valued me and wanted me more than the Saints did. Gotcha. So we're trying to get to a certain number, and I got the number I wanted and then some. And that was good. So I stayed on that deal for 2 years. Then I renegotiated to get me more money pushed to the front. And then after that third year of my new deal, they let me go because they drafted Kenny Vaccaro. So after Kenny's first year, they felt like they could do without me. So I was cool with that. I was ready to go at that point. I'd had words with Sean. We were not on good terms. I was ready to get out of New Orleans. And then I got to go to Carolina, and it was great.
I don't want to feel like we're keeping Max out of the conversation. I just want to talk about the power of social media. Is that me, Max, Ryan, all have met through Twitter. Like, there's a lot of bad things that comes with social media.
Terrible.
And I'm sure as an athlete, you can speak to it way more than we can. But the fact that we're all doing this podcast with a former Saints player just because of a Bird app is absolutely insane. But I wanted Max to tell his origin story as a Saints fan and what's led to the Darth Saint persona and alter ego.
Yeah, I can remember vividly 1987, the Saints make their first run to the playoffs. And I was about 9 years old at that point. And I remember going to the grocery store with my mom, and there was an actual Saints comic book. Like, I could probably never find this thing. Would love to find it. Someone created this local, one-issue comic book about, the Saints' run to the playoffs. And I just remember, I'm like, oh, that was cool. And, at this point, I'm just starting to watch, football. I'm like, I grew up playing soccer and all of that. And so I'm starting to watch football kind of seriously at that point and just fell in love with the Saints, man. It became, my mom would say, she'll tell you now, she's like, your mood was dictated by what was going on with the team. So needless to say, I was in a bad mood like 99% of my life, except for 2009. Thank you very much, Rome, and the rest of them. But, yeah, man, it's just, I've always had a artistic streak as well. I always like to draw and do face paint and all that. I grew up watching wrestling like just about everybody did at some point. Always loved the Road Warriors doing the face paint. So when the Saints won the first playoff game, God, that was back in 2000. That was the first time I did any face paint. And it just kind of spiraled out of control at that point. And, now my skin's bad, dry half of the year because of, too much face paint. But, yeah, man, it's just, you know how it is. Everything in New Orleans, we grasp onto anything that's related to New Orleans. It's, and Ryan, you know this growing up here. Yeah. We love anything that's New Orleans. And the Saints are just a part of us. And that's why, with the restaurant, the first time the guys came in, I think it was the offensive linemen and the quarterbacks came in. And I don't even remember how, but I got linked up with Freddie McAfee a couple of years prior. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even realize he had my number. He shot me a text, and he's like, yo, man, this is Freddie Mac. I need a table for, 12 people at 7 o'clock tonight. Can you make it happen? I'm like, I got you. And then all the guys come rolling in, and then it seems like all the position groups hit Root one after another. And, from the location of Root being right by Republic, which was probably, the most popular nightclub at the time, we would see a lot of the players walking around. A lot of them lived in the neighborhood. I remember Vilma lived in the neighborhood. Jimmy Graham, when he was here, was in the neighborhood. And, we see the same guys over and over again. And then, Rome, I remember you and Eric were coming in all the time. So we I
had to get the wings, dog. The wings are so fire.
The wings were
sweet tea.
Delicious. They're so good. Oh.
Dude, I was craving those the other day, man. Well, Roman, I got a question for you. You missed the mescalamicin?
Oh, my gosh. No, I don't. The last time I took one of those, a shot like that would just take me down. It was like, I hate to say this, but it was in college. I used to do this shot called a wolf pussy. It was awful. Awful. It was awful. But I got a question for Max though, because Max, you've shared with me some about this. Because I've asked you that same question. Was that all right, Max? How do you get from you in this suit, run this restaurant, doing what you do like a normal dude, to a whole face full of paint? You're like, well, it started with just a little bit of eye black. And then it kind of just progresses to a diamond. Then it kind of goes on. Walk us through this process.
The progression, the evolution.
The progression of how it just got more and more. And then,
well, it's like the eye black is like a gateway drug. It starts off with that.
Like a tattoo at the first.
Yeah, it spirals out of control. And, look,
is it after a win? Like when you win, you just keep doing more? We weren't close enough. I need to do a little more. How does this go?
Man, I'll tell you though, the first year it got to the point it was, to the full on, was the Super Bowl year.
Oh, okay.
So at that point, I'm like, I can't stop.
Can't stop, baby.
So I said, I said when Breeze retires, that'll probably be it because he's being a quarterback, that position is going to last longer than the running backs, wide receivers, DBs, all of that. I said when Breeze retires, I'll go ahead and retire it. But broke it out this year, for the Raiders game. We shut him out, best game of the season. So I got to break it out again next year.
Did our meetup? Did our first annual hashtag Saints Twitter podcast meetup that Max showed up at was a great time.
Yeah, but like anything else, it starts off small and then just what it is. Though, like Roman's brother is really into comics, man. Like I know, Ronnie.
He is my brother Ronnie, totally into comics.
Yeah, so he can understand it. Like I was a big Star Wars fan growing up, so it was always like I was a kid when those movies were coming out. So I'm like, this is, I look at the Darth Maul character, I'm like, that's a dope outfit. Just change the red to gold, and we got it. So
there you go.
Yeah, you killed it, man. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows. Everybody knows.
It's funny because I've got to meet like a lot of these. I don't even call super fans, I guess, like whatever the characters are, because I mean they're there every week in New Orleans, right? And and like they think that not only that, but they expect a lot of the players to be like, bro, you know me, man. Like, well, I've seen a couple of them like, what's the boxer dude's name? What's his name? Oh my gosh. It's totally to my mind. But it's like all of them. But they expect you to know them sometimes, even when they're outside of the dome, bro. Like when they see you, they be like, Rome, you know me? Like, I'm like, oh, that's what's his
Whistle
name?
Monster, Whistle
Yeah,
Monster.
the whistle, but yeah, all of them. It's like, it's a whole gambit of it. I appreciate it though, especially look, I only played for 2 organizations, so seeing the difference of them is kind of like Carolina. And here in Carolina, they got like a lot of superhero characters. So like, I can see a Thanos, I can see a Predator, I can see a Iron Man, and all these other ones. And my brother Behart, my oldest brother Brian, he started this whole dress up thing too. After being in New Orleans for all those years, he started dressing up, and it was like the funniest thing ever because he started coming to Carolina games and he would be the Dark Knight, right? So instead of the Dark Knight symbol, he had like a Panther signal in the front, in the middle, and so, but he had the face paint, the whole thing. He talking a deep voice. I mean, we'd be leaving games and he's telling the police officers like, "Thanks for the day off." You know what I mean? So he's like all there. He's all there. And but he got all this from New Orleans. He dressed up my last 3 games in New Orleans. He like just put on a hat and he's like, dude, it's the coolest thing ever. Like people treat you differently when you like somebody, so you can like totally play up this character. Nobody knows who you are. And so he did this in Carolina and they invited him to this like superhero clan of Panthers things. And so they're talking to him. And he was like, my they're talking about this player and this one's been to this. And he was like, well, I mean, my brother plays. They were like, whoa, you actually know somebody? Like, whoa. Like, so he moved up the food chain like really, really fast.
Quick.
Yeah, quick. He was like up at the top. Like they were like, hold on. Like we just like met these guys. I mean, you actually like you know one. Like you're in there. Like, yeah, it's whatever. So but it was really unique to see this side of it, and how every team and organization is a little bit different.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a different mindset with a lot of them. I've always liked face paint. I've always liked just, letting the artistic side come out. And but when I get to a game, dude, I just want to focus on the game.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Just watching the game, and I'll drink my whiskey and have a good time and yell at the opposing team's kicker because he's right in front of me.
Yeah.
It's not as much. I'm not worried about trying to run around and I guess be recognized as much.
Yeah,
right.
It was cool though when I came to New Orleans on the other side and I got to see my boy Max. Like, I actually got to like see him. Like I've always known he was on the other side, but I never. And so when I was actually on the other sideline, I actually got to go up, take a picture with him, like the whole 9 in my jersey and stuff. I wasn't in my Saints stuff, but yeah.
You see him being all polite about it. He was coming over talking mad shit when he got over.
He was. Without question.
Oh my god, dude!
And that was the Cam Newton Panthers.
He came over pointing at my ass. He's like, "He got you." But
He's not lying. I mean, that was my first
Hold
year.
on.
So
I'm a bull picture, man. I'll show you.
it was an old school beatdown. We beat them like 41-10 that game. It was ugly. And but I was very happy because we scored my number. It was like very symbolic for me. First time back in New Orleans, and not in a Panthers, a Saints jersey. Seeing all the coaches, seeing all the people I really truly love, like Max, like some of the security guards and people that have been in like the same tunnel that I walked out, gave a hug to, like for so many years.
Right.
For all of them to still be there, like those are the things that I cherish the most, and the times that I appreciate the most. Is like those type of there it is, there it is, there it is.
Yeah. Don't be misled by the smile. Dude came over spitting venom, man.
Max put on a smile just because I was there. I made him
Probably was heated, but this is before or after the game?
That's after the game.
I know you was steaming.
Yeah, he was not happy.
Steaming,
he was
bro.
not happy.
I lost all the horns on my head.
So Ryan and I had to ask this to Lance, and now that we have you on, I feel like we have to ask it to you too. Which Saints team was more talented, the team that won the Super Bowl or the team in 2011?
No, I mean that's the easy answer. Everybody knows it's 2011. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that. But that's the tricky thing about the league, man. We won 13 games, I think 8 or 9 in a row, and Atlanta won 14, so they had home field, so we had to go on the road, and we ran into a freaking buzzsaw.
I was at that game.
I mean, dude, I look back, I'm like, man, Future had that joint rocking, bro.
If I never hear that song again in my life.
Somebody posted that this weekend. It's just like, just kills me.
I saw that on Instagram too. I was like, bro, man, I forget how rocking that stadium was at Old Candlestick Park that day, bro.
It was insane.
It was insane. And we played so bad. And we blitzed one time too many. Our offense had 5 turnovers, and we still had a chance to win the game. And it sucks that we didn't win it because that was a team for sure that was like, man, we were dangerous. We had all the pieces. I just looked. My daughter hit me with some trivia earlier on football. My oldest daughter, she's a crazy fanatic football fan. And she said the all-time leading passer in single season for yards, and I had to look it up, and she said it was Drew Brees, but that was the year he broke it. Dude, we broke every record. Rose had the record. Drew threw the record. It was like crazy.
Jimmy Graham, everybody.
Jimmy Graham.
Yeah, we racked up like everything. Like we had the top 5 defense. We had top 5 offense. It was, everybody was winning, and we were so good. We beat the brakes off everybody that year, and everybody knows it. I mean, Sean will say it. Everybody says
Giants did not want to come to the Dome.
They did not want that smoke, bro.
No, the Giants, no way. Eli would have been shaking in his boots, bro. Like, no. He had no success in the Dome, bro. Not at all.
Roman, something I always want to know, real quick. The battles you guys used to have, like in training camp, offense versus defense.
Yeah.
John Vilma talks about it a lot. How did that come about? Because y'all hated each other, bro. Like,
well, I don't think we hate as much as like the competition fueled us.
Yeah.
The competition periods were highly, highly competitive, and it kind of started with like Sean Payton talking shit to Vilma. Right. So then that kind of ratchets up. Then we got some money on the line and somebody's talking some shit. You got Jeremy Shockey talking reckless to Greg Williams on the sidelines. Greg's over here flicking Shockey off. Shockey's over here telling Greg to suck it. And it's like, bro, it's like bananas. And the wide receivers are the quietest position. Like the wide receivers never talk.
Like what's Costa go say?
Nothing. You never talk. Lance didn't talk. Lance was a dancer, but he never really talked. Meacham didn't talk. Devery never talked. Colston didn't say a word. It was like we had the most quiet wide receiver group, but everybody else talked.
Everybody was talking.
Sean had to talk. The wide receivers coach CJ always talking.
Always talking.
It was like it was this it was always somebody yapping at somebody, and the competition. Because we compete on everything. So red zone, 5 times you got to try and do it, and check downs don't count as wins either. So like you're not gonna count that as a win. So we just kept track of everything, and we love to compete versus each other. And for us, it was always so cool because we would have these new defenses that we might be trying to implement. I'll never forget. We ran a defense called triple double. So you remember that Monday night versus like the New England Patriots, and we like blew their doors off. Mike McKenzie had like the interception. We like that's when everybody was like, okay, this team might be for real. So we had this new defense called triple double. So we were going to double like 3 guys, depending on who was in the game. We're going to double Moss. We're going to double somebody else. We like doubling all these different guys. And like, but we'd walk around stem to it. So we just be all over the place. Then we just run and go. And so it was always so good when we have like new defenses that we're going to try later on in the week. And then on that Friday competition comes out, we tried on Drew in our offense. And so anytime we confuse Drew, we're like, okay, we got to change.
We got something.
Like, we got something. We got something on this one. So we always tried new stuff on our own offense. We got like the number 1 offense in the league. Try it on them. Like, if it can work on them, it can work on anybody. Right. So we actually built a lot of our own confidence on just trying stuff versus our offense. Okay, this didn't work. All right, that doesn't work. Or even me trying to cover Jimmy Graham. I was like, dude, if I can cover Jimmy Graham on like these certain situations, I can cover any tight end in the league because he's by far the best one. So all these things I would try, and then I'd also ask Jimmy, okay, Jimmy, why'd you run that route that way? He's like, well, me and Drew just got this thing. I'm like, all right, so you're just making this shit up on the gut. So you learn from each other all the time, and that's just the competition. But when you got good people, man, like that's what you need to do. You learn from them. You take what they're giving you. You give them some too, and overall, that's why we probably won so many games.
Yeah, man, I love the stories from the Greg Williams. I remember you telling me about the Planet of the Apes story.
Oh yeah, well, not the Planet of the Apes. It's the it's called the wet monkey experiment. So, all right. So understand this. So you're in a room full of all black guys on defense besides like 3 dudes, right? 3 white dudes. And so when Greg brings out this thing and talk about the wet monkey experiment, everybody's like, "Hold up now, Greg. Hold up. Where you going? Where you going with this?" Yeah, right. So that's the initial reaction. Like, "Hold up, Greg. Where you going with this?" Just hold on, guys. Hold on. All right. So then he talks about a culture. Like, what is the true meaning of a culture, or how do you build a culture? And he's like, a great example is the wet monkey experiment. So the wet monkey experiment, and my brother loves this story too, Max. He loves it. And so you put 5 monkeys into a closed encapsule, right? In the middle of it, you got these steps up, and it's a banana hanging down. And so every time, but the thing is so they put them in there, and as soon as they get in there, one of them goes up and tries to get the banana. All right, they go get the banana. The other 4 monkeys get sprayed with water, right? So boom, that happens. All right, okay, cool. Then they release them again. Another one goes up and tries to get the banana, and the other 4 monkeys get sprayed. So by the second or third time, they know all right, nobody touches the banana. So, because then everybody's getting sprayed. So nobody's touching the banana now. All right. So now they're all trained to nobody touch the banana because we all get messed up. The others get messed up if I touch the banana. So nobody wants to touch the banana. So then they take out one of the original monkeys, put in a brand new monkey. So then they let him back in the enclosure again, the enclosure. The new monkey, as soon as he gets in there, he goes for the banana. Before he gets the banana, all the other 4 monkeys jump on him and beat him up. So he knows not to touch the banana.
Exactly.
All right. So then they're like, okay. So now they take them all out and they put him back in. He doesn't touch the banana because he tried to go get it. He got beat up. So he's like, all right, I don't touch the banana. So now they take another one of the original monkeys out. So now you got 3 original monkeys, 2 the new monkey. Well, and 2 new monkeys in. The new monkey gets in. As soon as he gets in, he tries to go get the banana. They all four jump on that monkey and beat him up, including the brand new monkey that doesn't even know why he's beating him up. He just knows that's what you do, right? So they continue this whole experiment until it's all 5 brand new monkeys, all right? And none of them touch the banana. And they'll beat up anybody willing to go touch the banana, even though they don't even know why. They just know that's just what their culture tells them. Right. So if you do it, when you're in, you're all in. And so that's what he explained to us about building a culture. And look, these other guys don't even know why they're doing the 40 up downs, like to get cashed in on this defense, but they'll do it because that's what we all hold each other to. So like, that's just the standard you set and the way about it. And it was a really cool thing. And now when you look at it, I'm like, I could get that. I mean, I like sharing that story. It's a cool little story. And it's just a way to think about it. And Greg Williams is really, really good at getting guys to buy in and using different mental gymnastics to really just kind of get everybody to buy in and to see, you know, he used different methods. He's a psychology guy. So, you know, we would call it scripted anger, where he'd be saying this thing and all of a sudden these words were being read, because then he had to like, oh, I need to be mad when I say this, like, oh, blah, 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 blah. Then everything else would be in black or green. Because if you just have a whole page full of black, like some guys have ADHD. You start to lose them. So you put something in green, you put something in blue, and it just kind of keeps them engaged slowly as you go through.
I have a question, just because Pete Carmichael is still the offensive coordinator of the Saints as recording this. In your dealings with Pete Carmichael on the team, like, does he have that storytelling ability to get that side of the ball buying into what he's trying to do offensively? Because we've had our discussions about Pete Carmichael in his first season, this season, calling plays.
You know, Pete is a scientist, dude. He's like one of those guys that has his own little lab, and he does what he does. I don't know specifically because I have not been there this year. I don't think it was so much about the play calling as much as just like the execution of the plays being called this year. That was really breaking it down. And the Saints have had an injury bug bad the last 3 years. So are they ever healthy? Are they ever doing all these things? I love Pete Carmichael as a play caller. He called plays when Sean broke his leg. And we like led the league in every category. Like, still calling plays. And we ran the ball better. We were a much more balanced team under Pete Carmichael's play calling than we were under Sean for a few years. And so it's ebbs and flows to it all. Sometimes you get in a rhythm, sometimes you don't. And also, are you executing? Because at the end of the day, it's not about the play that's being called. It's about the execution of the play.
Mm-hmm.
So who's your guy quarterback-wise coming out this year? We got Bryce Young coming out. We got Stroud, Levis, however we say it.
Levis. So for me personally, Max, I got Bryce at number 1. He's just a magician, bro. You've texted me this for 2 years now. You love Bryce. Now, I have knocks on all of them. My knock on Bryce is, of course, is going to be his size. I'm a little nervous about that. But the dude's been playing at that height forever. And he was the number 1 quarterback coming out of high school, probably the number 1 quarterback coming out of college. And he balled, straight up balled in college. And Alabama's not even close to what Alabama is this year if he isn't who he is. And that's hard to say. But Alabama's not even close without Bryce Young this year. He's a special talent. And it's things that don't come naturally to me. He sets all the protections, which I love that. That means he's already on another level than most college quarterbacks. He sets all the protections. He knows the hot routes. And specifically, he's not only accurate, but ball placement. Like if a defender is outside, the ball's inside. If he's in between guys, it's outside the inside breaking guy and inside the outside guy, right? Like the little stick route, it's right here. So those things come very natural to him, but other knock I have on him outside of size is I don't know if he can just dime a ball 65 yards down the field, just like Herbert can or like Will Levis can, right? Like blindfolded, just dime one 65 yards. Like some people like that type of quarterback. So those are my 2 knocks on him. My next quarterback I got is C.J. Stroud. I love his his throwing motion. He's got a great arm. He's got amazing size. He's more athletic than he shows on tape because he doesn't run. I don't know why, except for the Georgia game.
Right.
Next, you know, if he'd have been like that the whole time, probably a top tier guy.
Right.
My only knock on CJ is that big games outside of Georgia, I didn't see him ball. And then also, and this is not a real knock on him, but he reminds me a lot of like every other quarterback that came out of Ohio State. So, which is like, I hate that. You know, I hate that because he's taking the blame for what past
Right.
he's done. But I haven't seen Ohio State quarterback work out in the league yet.
Do you think, and this is something that I've kind of noticed with CJ Stroud, and maybe I'm looking at it, is that both Ryan and I felt that Justin Fields' processing was a little slow in college.
Yep.
And watching CJ, I kind of feel like the same way. Am I wrong in saying, like, just in terms of?
I don't know. I watched quite a few games on him this year. And so I wouldn't say the processor is slow as much as like he's not a guy that like extends and creates.
Yeah.
He's not a guy that like, pocket kind of breaks down and he's able to do this, step up. He did that versus Georgia, but that was like the first time I seen him do it.
Right. It was an
Like,
outlier.
I hadn't seen him do it. And so I think Georgia made him some money, honestly.
Oh, 100%.
And then Will Levis, I mean, he's going to look pretty, man. I'm telling you. He's going to be big. He's going to run good. He's going to throw a ball 85 yards. He's going to be able to throw it through a tire. He's going to do all those things. But, man, he turns the ball over way too much for me. And so the last time that happened was Sam Darnold. I was like, you know what, dude, he's going to figure it out in the league. He's got all the intangibles.
Yeah.
I know he had too many turnovers. I get it, interceptions, fumbles, yeah. But he's going to get that fixed. And he never got it fixed. And so I'm a little shaky on Will Levis. Out of all the quarterbacks, the top tier ones, I'm shaky on Will Levis a little bit for that reason.
You know, our scouts, coaches see that arm, they're like, ooh.
No, I'm telling you, somebody's going to fall in love with it.
What's the Josh Allen effect?
what's
Everybody
the name?
wants the next Josh Allen.
What's the other draft guy? Not McShay. Mel Kiper's got Will Levis number one. So
I believe it.
I know this because the Saints don't have a first round pick; they have a second round pick. There's talks of them maybe drafting a quarterback in the second round, or like on a project, whether that be an Anthony Richardson or
I don't know if he'll be there. Quarterbacks, people reach.
It reach.
People reach,
Or-
dog.
or like a Hendon Hooker who probably because of the injury may fall.
Okay. So, like, my only thing that I'm nervous about when you draft Hendon Hooker in the second or third round is that, all right, well, what are you expecting? Because he's older, but he's still gonna need time to develop because he shined in an offense that's nothing like a NFL style offense. Like that's Tennessee offense. Guys are running wide open all the time, and he's throwing a deep ball, or he's throwing a slant or a stop. It's not a lot of like routes that build off each other like they do in the league, where I hit my fifth step, I'm dropped, I'm stepping up, I'm going to my first read, second read, third read, or check down. And so things that are built off each other, Hendon Hooker did such a good job of seeing it, 1-2, or I'm running. 1-2, oh, maybe it's a check down. But they don't really get a lot of check downs at Tennessee. That's not what they run in their offense. He was the check down with the legs. So his offense, what he did in college and was so good at in college, it looks nothing like what it will do on Sunday. So that's my other thing is that, okay, well, when you draft him there, what are you looking for and how fast are you looking on return on your investment?
Yeah.
His accuracy worries me. I think I texted Roman and Adam about this. I'm watching 8-yard passes, and they're 3 feet
high.
above the people's heads. Yeah.
That was the Georgia game.
Mostly over the ball stuff. So throws across the middle. He missed throws across the middle. That would concern me. I'm like, look, in the NFL, bro, you got to dime that. It's precious space in between the hash and the numbers in the NFL.
Yeah.
You got to be able to rope that ball.
Got to.
12, 15 yards, that's got to be a layup. That's a layup.
Right.
It's a layup. And if you miss the layups, if you miss it by a yard and a half, that's intercepted.
Let's
The
pick.
interception's got time to get there. And what's open in the NFL or what's open in college, I'm like, dude, you got to throw that.
Man.
And I only feel confident talking about these things because I saw Drew do it for so many years.
Yeah, yeah.
So I
yeah.
saw him go through his progressions. I saw him like, okay, where the quarterback's eyes need to be. And I played quarterback in high school, but it's in no comparison to say I know enough to be able to say all these things without witnessing one of the greatest do it on a day in, day out basis, and what his feet were doing, what his mindset was doing. To see him throw a ball, then go through his other 2 or 3 reads and be like, okay, so that's what a true quarterback's supposed to do. But then I also saw Cam Newton go out there and ball too. It was completely different. Not saying Cam didn't work or do these things, but bro, he just did a different style. So it's more than one way to skin a cat.
Right.
Well, you mentioned Cam Newton. What do you think of Richardson? Did I hear of Cam Newton as a comp for him a lot?
Dude, that's not even close to a comp. They're just 2 big athletic guys. Cam, number one, Cam's way bigger. Anthony Richardson is a big dude though. He's a freak athlete, faster than he is. Like he's a better runner than he is thrower right now, and he can throw a ball 70 yards like with a flick of a wrist, easy. The ball just flies out of his hands. So he has plenty of arm talent, but it's going to be what you talked about earlier is the whole processing thing. How fast can he read coverages and pick things up? Because he never picked up a squat corner to the field. He threw 3 interceptions this year. Just like, he looks, I'm throwing it, and it's like, no, that corner's not playing 2. He's not playing quarters, bro. He's sitting and squatting and interception. So teams knew that. They gamed for it. And also, but he's a game changer with his legs. Yeah. So, yes, he will be considered a project, but I'm telling you, man, it's just fans and organizations aren't patient anymore. No, so when you draft a quarterback in first round, they like, I'm buying the jersey when he playing. Right. You know, like that's what they want. And so when you draft a guy that high, you would really invest in him. So you want him to be the starter at some point and run and be the quarterback for your organization. I'm just not sitting up here telling you it's going to be next year, 2 years. He's probably a 3-year guy before he's even ready to go. And he'll come in and make splash plays. He'll come in and look great. But he's going to look very bad at times too. You just got to be ready to deal with that.
I think
who's your guy then? Like, give me an underclassman quarterback. You know, I know Adam and Ryan and I have gone back and forth on Caleb Williams. I like Drake May from UNC.
All right, who you like? Who you like? No, you guys are going to tell me. You guys are going to tell me the answer first.
I think we all like Caleb a lot. I like Drake May. I don't think Adam's watched him as much.
I haven't seen enough of him to have an opinion.
Yeah.
So you like Drake May over Caleb Williams?
No, I didn't say I like him over. I said I like both of them. Give me Caleb, obviously, over Drake.
Okay. All right.
So give me your input. What you got?
No, for me, I would take Caleb number 1 over everybody in this class as well. If he was draft eligible, personally, because he's got the size and he's got the arm talent, and he is a true dual threat quarterback. When this cat breaks the pocket, he can roll. Yes. So I don't love his ball security, but the kid can roll. Like you can't deny those things, and he's got the size to go with it. He looks like the prototypical quarterback that you would want. So you got everything you need. He can throw the ball from every angle imaginable as far as like arm angles. He's got plenty of arm to do everything. For me, Caleb Williams is elite. His defense is just trash at USC. Like, they're trash. So it's not – you didn't say like, man, Caleb Williams, you cost him a game this year. No, the defense was trash. Drake May cost his team some ball games late in the year as he started to play better and better competition. And, yes, he's young. So, you know, he threw some interceptions, and that really cost the team. And I'm looking forward to seeing him improve. He went to high school right across the street over here at Myers Park here in Charlotte. So, he's a local kid. I saw him play in high school. He's a good kid. He was coached up really well by Josh McCown in high school. So he has good pedigree. I mean, his dad's an athlete. His brother played at UNC Chapel Hill for basketball. He's going to have all the size. He's got all the talent. I mean, he moved here to Myers Park to play quarterback. So, and he stayed here in North Carolina to play quarterback in state. So I like where he comes from. I don't think you can go really wrong with both. That leads me to a question for you guys. Sean Payton's coming up in a lot of these conversation talks.
Let's talk about
So if I'm Mickey Loomis, when do you make the trade? And are you willing to take a first rounder for next year?
Yes.
And not just a first rounder for this year?
I personally, let me say this. I would prefer.
And would you trade him to Carolina?
Yes.
Yes.
I would. I'm taking a chance, and I want the first round pick in 2024. Because, like you said, you're taking Caleb Williams over any quarterback in this draft class.
I would.
And to be honest, we're not getting high enough this year anyway, unless we trade a bunch of future assets to move up again, which we don't need to do after doing that last year. So give me the pick in 2024. Let's see how the season goes. You know, looking at Dennis Allen's track record in Oakland, it's not out of the realm of possibility to say he starts off 1-4, 1-5, and he's out of here by mid-season. Look, you know, not saying it's going to happen, but it's a possibility.
Out of here, you can't go anywhere. He'll have to play. He'll be coaching next year. It's okay.
No. He's coaching next year. What I'm saying is next year, I can see them getting off to a slow start.
Okay.
Yeah.
He has not won more than – this is the first year he coached the team winning more than 4 games in 4 years. I mean, that's not a good track record.
No, it's
not.
I said
give me the pick in 2024. I would prefer that.
You would take it. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I said that on the radio today, man, and people going crazy up here in Carolina because they want Wilkes deep down. But they're like, man, boy, that bad boy Sean Payton looks really good, though. Man, that bad boy Sean, I know we hated him when he was on the other sideline.
Hey.
But we'll kind of take him over here because he has a proven track record to win it.
Adam's got something to say here.
Here's what I would do. I would take Carolina's 9th overall pick this year because my concern is that even if they gave you 2024 next year and not 9, Sean has kind of already shown he's able to coach and overachieve teams who may not be that talented. So I can see that pick in theory, in paper, it should be like a high pick. That pick may be 11, 12. And then maybe if you're then combining the Saints pick next year, first round, and 2024, you can move up. But unless there's a team who gets the number 1 overall pick next year and already has a franchise quarterback, anyone who needs a quarterback is going to take Caleb 1. Anyone. So for me, you get 9, and at that point, you know more than likely that potentially Chicago's not going to take a quarterback at 1. Potentially. And you call up Ryan Poles and you say, I got 9, and you have to have conviction on either, for me, it would be Bryce or CJ. Sean going to Carolina, I can see them winning more games than they're supposed to win.
I don't think you're wrong about that. I just don't know. Do you have enough to move up? Do you have enough?
That's the question.
Is 9 going to be good enough to get you what you want?
It would be 9 in 2024's first to go from 9 to 1 potentially. That's
not going to be enough. San Francisco.
It's not enough. Probably need more than that.
Yeah, it's not enough. San Francisco gave up 3 first rounders. So
for
Trey Lance. So the market's already been set. So 9.
You might have to include a Lattimore or something. You know what I'm saying?
Right there we go.
But I think my thing is if you move to 1,
I want Ramczyk. I want to gut you. I want Ramczyk.
Oh, take Ram. His knees. No offense to Ram, but I'm just saying if you can go to 1 and have conviction and get a guy and he's the guy and you don't have to worry about the whole trajectory of the team completely changes.
Well, let me say this. I say I want 2024. Not under the assumption that the Panthers are going to have a top 10 pick. I'm saying it because
Thanks. Go ahead. What's up?
I think we're going to be in that same range.
10,
unless something drastic happens at quarterback this year. And, we have better help. We're going to be in the same.
But you're still fighting.
I agree.
You're still fighting against the other team who may get number 1, who is not going to move off that pick at all. At least this year in Chicago.
But in 2024, you have your 2024 pick, which under my scenario would be around 10, 11, 12, whatever.
Right.
You have the Panthers pick, which realistically with Peyton probably in the teens.
Give or take,
maybe
right.
you get somewhere around there. And at that point, you could also trade the following year's first. So you would have 3 to play with to get up to that 1.
Yep.
That's where I'm at.
But if a team loves Caleb and they see him as the next Mahomes, which he's the second best quarterback I've seen, like the picks don't matter at that point.
True.
So they got the guy.
But what if the wheels fall off with the Chargers and they have the first pick? They got Justin Herbert. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just throwing out the hypothetical.
That's a gamble.
That's a team that would trade. That's a team that would trade.
It's like being in Vegas. Like, do I want the what in hand this season, or do I want next season?
I get it, Adam, but that happened to Chicago this year. Like Chicago wheels fell off. Like, and they got a quarterback. So it's like, I mean, what they're trying to do right now is they're trying to get people. They're trying to act like they want a quarterback.
Oh, of course.
They got one,
yes.
So somebody can come up because they know
they control the draft.
Starts at number 2.
100%.
So it's just it's how you do it. It's how you align it. And like Max said, man, we just don't know exactly how the chips will fall on a season-to-season basis. Like, we can look up and the Patriots freaking suck. You know, like, and that could just as easily happen. So, look, even with
you,
Peyton
Roman,
Manning with the Colts, were great for so long. He got hurt one year and they never won a game.
Yeah,
and
they got Andrew Luck.
Go and they got Andrew Luck. So it's like,
But actually, Roman, we'll take it to the NBA when David Robinson got hurt.
Yes,
Tim Duncan comes in. That's what I'm talking about. You don't know, like something.
Yeah, I get the what ifs. I 100% get. I guess my question, Roman, is, and maybe it may be hard for you, but what would you see if you're the Saints as fair draft compensation for a Sean Payton trade?
First and a third, first and a fourth. If I don't get this year's first, I want more. I would like a future second.
Yeah,
I'll take a second round pick in 2 years. I don't care, as long as I get a first in there too. But if I have to take futures, then I'm going to want a higher future. You know what I'm saying? Now, if I get this year's, then I'll take a fourth. You know what I'm saying? First and a fourth, whatever that is. I do want 2 picks though. You're not just gonna give me a first and get him.
right.
I still want 2 picks because I still see a ton of value and starters. People still get starters in the 3rd and 4th round. Like, I want a starter in the 3rd round. Like, it's still starters on the 3rd and 4th round picks. So
100%.
like, that's why it's so much value placed on those. And I'm willing to give up, but I'm gonna get 2 starters for Sean.
Mm-hmm. What is and I know you got to go. There's something I've been wanting, because I know you've been watching college football a lot more. Them drafting Marcus Davenport, it hasn't seemed to work out the way they've hoped it has. They've drafted Peyton Turner, another edge, and his career's got off to a slow start. Both 2 first round.
That was
picks.
nicely put.
Hey, listen, I am keeping it buttoned up of how me and Ryan usually are on this podcast. What we know the Jeff Ireland metrics of how the Saints like their defensive ends to be, like power guys, not so much speed guys. What has gone wrong in their scouting potentially with those 2 players? Because I feel like you talked about drafting starters. The team drafting a player, especially in the 1st round, and that player not working out, just sets about the team tremendously. And it seems like recently there has been some misses at the apple by the Saints in the draft.
So, it's really hard because, like, Davenport really flashed, like, 2 years when he was, like, marginally healthy.
Right.
And so this guy has shown so much, like, good stuff. Pass rush percentage, winning his one-on-ones, but it just can't stay on the field long enough to, like, figure the game out, And it's really tough to, like, build confidence and, like, learn your craft and master your craft when you're always on the tub or you're always in the table. Like, it's just really hard to become the great player that everybody anticipated him to be. And that kind of goes the same way with the guy from Houston as well.
Turner.
Yeah. And so, I mean, he didn't even dress for games this year. So I don't know.
Healthy scratch.
Like, when you got a 1st round guy that's not dressing, and it's not because of health or whatever it is, I mean, that lets you know. The one guy, he balled out this year too. The other end that actually played for him,
Granderson?
yeah, Granderson, like balled. So
Yeah.
it sucks, but it's also sometimes the guys that get paid the most. I mean, they flat out act like they believe they know more than everybody else, and they get it wrong. And when they get it wrong, it sets us back.
Yeah.
It sets the organization back. And so
Big facts.
that's why these first round picks, man, they got to be home runs. I mean, it's only 20. It's 32 of them. They're hard to miss on too. Man, first round picks got to be home runs. That's what I believe.
It's
and I don't give a lot of teams credit or organizations credit when they get a first round pick right. I'm like, dude, I mean, like it's 300 guys. Like you get one out of the first, like you should be able to get that one right. You should get that one right. And you make your organization based upon what you do on that 2nd to 5th round picks and those 6th and 7th round picks. Like that's where the team is really built at.
Yeah.
The success. But first rounders got to be home runs. And when you miss on those, it really just because now you're paying a guy a high number and it's like you're not getting the production you want. And the fans, they remember that.
Oh, yeah.
It just bothered. I don't know why.
Nobody's that mad when you miss on a 3rd rounder, bro. They're not mad. They're not. They're not. First rounders, they're like, bro, home run. Got to have a home run.
It just really just stood out to Ryan and I, and even Max, that like Peyton Turner was healthy week 18, a quote unquote, not a meaningless game, but a game didn't have any significance. And it's like, he can't be out there getting snapped, like playing time, just nothing. What is going on?
You always got to ask questions when you got the first rounder, bro, and you're like, bro, you're not even dressed. That means like we can do this without you.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Man.
We can do this without you. I know we drafted you, but not this time. All right, you sit right there.
It's sad to see, man.
I don't have any more for Ryan. For Roman, I don't want to keep him here.
We already took him an hour, man. He said 45.
We did.
No, man, it happened fast, fellas. It's all good, man. I appreciate the love, and I don't get to talk a lot of New Orleans ball up here in Carolina all the time, so it was cool, man. I think I'm thankful for it, and Max knows how much I love him and care about him. So anybody that's with him, man, it's like family. So it's all good, fellas.
Appreciate it.
We love you, bro. We love you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate
love
that.
You as fans. It's incredible for you Lance, be on our podcast. It's mind blowing. We really appreciate it.
Oh man, Lance is my brother too, man. We do couples trips every year, so it's nothing but love. Max, I'll see you soon when I come to New Orleans, bro. I'm trying to come down from Mardi Gras, so
bring it on, brother.
I'll make sure I link.
All right,
sounds good, my man.
All right,
Thank you, man. Thank you, Roman. We're gonna talk to.
Thanks for having me.
Talk to Max a little bit more and close this one out.
Thank you, Roman.
Max, still got you on, man. Now we can shoot the shit. I don't want to shoot the shit a little bit with Roman.
Now we don't have to be filtered anymore, huh?
No, we don't got to be filtered. This is the not safe for work version part of the podcast. As someone who you said 89, kind of that comic captured everything for you, right? Was 89? Okay.
87.
87. Sorry. I was not thought of at that point. To see where the team is, and I know both you and Ryan have seen the team, dark times, the Ditka days, all that. To kind of see the team where it is now after Sean Payton, has built up this program in a 15, 16-year stretch, and seeing how it went under with Dennis Allen for one season. We still have Pete Carmichael, who's still the offensive coordinator for whatever reason, I don't know. Someone who puts their hard-earned money into buying season tickets, renewing season tickets. How are you feeling as a fan who is a super fan for the Saints?
Man, to be honest with you, it's kind of, and Dominic, aka Angry Hoodad, had a funny tweet about an hour and a half ago, talking about how it brings him back to when he was 15 years old. You know what I mean? And this is what it's like. Growing up, watching the team, 87, we make the playoffs. You got a good run with the Dome Patrol. The city's going nuts. 4 straight playoff appearances. And then it kind of gets a little dark, towards the end of the mid and then end of the 90s. That's when with all the Billy Joes. I mean, we had more Billy Joes in an episode of Dukes of Hazzard, and it just was that was the abyss of quarterback play. I remember talking myself into Heath Schuler and Vodka Collins when we picked him up after he got cut by the Panthers.
Oh.
It's just that was low. And that's why, before we started, I was telling y'all, man, I didn't think I'd ever see a Super Bowl in my lifetime.
Hell no.
And we text about it all the time, talking about how the Saints sold their souls to the devil for that 2009 season. And I'm fucking happy with it. And I'm glad they did it, dude. I'll suffer through a few more seasons because 2009.
Got that one. That
was incredible, man. I can't explain to you, if we went to Miami for the regular season game in 2009, that game where we were getting, taken out to the woodshed in the first half.
All timer.
And I'm in the front row with my buddy Raybot, and the sun is just beating down on us in that first half. And all the other fans are around us, the Dolphins fans. And they're like, man, y'all aren't used to this heat. I'm like, bullshit, I'm from New Orleans. I'm used to this. But we were dying. Like, the sun was just going. I'm painted up, and I'm telling you, it holds in all the moisture. So no sweat is coming out. Like, I'm just baking. And then, Raybot and I looked at each other and we're like, it's cool, we got this. Because you watch the first 4 or 5 games that year, we were blowing people out. And then, like clockwork, man, that second half started, and the Saints just turned it around and blew out the Dolphins. And we were joking around. We're like, look, we're just claiming our spots right now for the Super Bowl in a couple of months because we're going to be back here. And sure enough, we get to the end of the season and we made it back to Miami for the Super Bowl. And that was, one of the most amazing weeks of my life, man. We were just going from party to party, finding where all the news crews were. I gave a couple of interviews on like WGNO, and my mom calls me. She's like, "I just saw you on TV. Thank you for not cursing." And it's just walking around in a drunken haze for like 4 days, but it was incredible. We had so much fun. And then the rest of the Sean Payton era, obviously, for the most part, was pretty amazing. You take away Minneapolis Miracle, the no call, the 49ers. Pain. But, look, this is the price. I think this is the price we had to pay for selling our souls to the devil for that one Super Bowl. And look, man, I'm fine with it. Now, that being said, I don't like spending the money I spend on the season tickets, to watch them play like they played this year, where it's just it's well documented, man. Just sloppiness all around. They didn't really look prepared. I mean, you guys have touched on this in every damn episode this season.
Every one of them.
And the lack of hope. It's just like I can see if you building towards something, and it's like, okay, maybe, but it's like there was no hope this season. It was like, none. Okay, we won the game. Like, good, that's nice.
Well, it's funny because I think I tweeted "Fire Dennis Allen" back in September.
Yeah,
because you could just see it then.
You can see it.
He's in over his head. This is not the guy we need, And look, I get it. They weren't gonna get rid of him, after one season. That was a pipe dream, and I can kind of see the logic behind that. You don't want to be that organization. Like, look at the Texans. You got 2 quarterbacks, two coaches. They both lasted 1 season each.
Yeah.
What coach wants to go there?
Right.
Because you're looking at the ownership, and you're like, these guys are a joke.
And
this is a dog and pony show personified.
And Mickey Loomis in his presser, that was like the first thing he talked about. He said stability like 8 times, bro.
Oh my God, so many times.
And look, man, I get it. I get it.
From his perspective, I get it.
Yeah, there's logic to it, and it's going to be a fun offseason, I'll tell you that, because Saints Twitter is fucking divided, dude. Like, there's about to be the Saints Twitter civil war.
Maybe
you're being drawn, man.
Maybe I'm
blocked too many people the way you're not seeing it.
Yeah, Adam blocked everybody, bro.
Yeah.
Bro, like the shotgun's going off. I'm on my porch, just drinking, just not seeing shit, bro. Like, all right.
Well, no, Ryan, you're seeing it. You're seeing it on there, man. it's funny. I'm in a couple of different Discords, and I don't, because last draft season we had the multiple first round picks. So at this point, I needed to take in as much Saints content as possible. Obviously been supporting you guys since day one.
Appreciate you, man.
I hopped on the Saints Happy Hour pod for a hot minute. I'm still in their Discord. I guess they didn't kick me out. But it's just funny seeing the difference in opinions, on just where everybody stands and the logic behind people's stances. And, I try to look at it a little bit more objectively. In the middle of the season, obviously I'm looking at it from an emotional standpoint, and I'm just pissed off because, when you spend a couple $1,000s on season tickets, and, you want to get entertainment out of it.
Right.
And the Raiders game was entertaining. You know what I mean?
Amazing.
It was incredible, and it was perfect that it coincided with the meetup. But the rest of the home games we went to, man, they were painful, and it's just that's not fun.
Nope.
And I know you guys preach, the whole separate yourselves. I can't do that. Like, I'll be honest with you, I can't.
We've had this conversation.
Yeah, like I'm institutionalized at this point, man. I'm like Red in Shawshank, where I'm sorry, not Red. What's his name? The old man in the library. And it's I'm stuck here, dude. I'm gonna be in Saint Shawshank until I'm gone. And it's the no call pissed me off to no end. It's probably one of the worst days. It's by far the worst game I've ever been to, but also one of the worst. Just experiences, days in general. Like, I can't even describe to you, and everybody in the dome was feeling the same thing. We were all. I might have killed somebody, dude. It
was true grief. It was a true grieving process after that, bro. Like,
it was, bro.
Like, it was a grieving process, man.
I deleted my Twitter for like 2 weeks, and Ryan was hitting me up with like, "Bro, some people asking about you. I
remember that. I didn't watch the Super Bowl. And even now, man, I don't like the NFL.
Neither me, bro.
I just mean in general. I would not watch the NFL if the Saints were not in the NFL. If this team ever moves, I won't watch the pro football again. I'll sit by a happy ass at home and watch college football. Follow the draft, and then the second they go to the pros, I'm gonna shut them out.
Done.
I'm addicted to the Saints. I don't the NFL. I could leave them. But as far as separating, myself from the team, emotionally, that ain't happening. I wish I could do it. Dude, I wish I could. Man. It's like I was telling y'all earlier when Rome was on the podcast, it's my mom. She used to worry about me when I was in school, grade school, because for the first semester or two, the first half of the year, the school like September to December, she's like, I always thought you were depressed. I'm like, I wasn't depressed. I'm just watching the fucking Saints stuff. You know what I mean? So it's just, it is what it is, and I'm going to talk myself into getting fired up for next seasons. I'll talk myself into whatever shitty quarterback that they end up signing off the scrap heap this year. Whoever this year's Andy Dalton is going to be.
Might just be Andy Dalton again, but I'm just.
Yeah. Look, man, Jesus Christ, I'm talking myself into it. No, it's like Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton, for all the shit he deserves, he also played better than any of us expected. If you would have said anything about Andy Dalton starting, however many games he started, what would he like? What? 13?
13,
yeah.
I think he started 12 or 13.
Yeah,
if you would have told me Andy Dalton was going to start 12 or 13 games, I would have told you we were going 2-15.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it's just Jameis, he's not a fit for what they were trying to do here. It's this whole square peg, round hole analogy. And, my God, that on Twitter is a whole nother civil war. You got the Jameis fanatics, Jameis 101. That dude leading his army against the other side. And Saints Twitter's a fascinating place, man.
Hey, bro, that's why we name our podcast for it, bro. It's his only thing. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it cracks me up because remember the what was it? The Saints Twitter bracket. What was that, a year or two ago?
Speaking of Civil Wars.
Oh my God, man! You think of the different figureheads for the different sides you got. Like, I think NATO's still running around somewhere. I think
somewhere offering to pick up people from the airport or something. I don't know.
It's going to be a fun offseason. One way or the other, there's going to be chaos.
Chaos. Expect that.
Yes.
Might not be fun, but it's going to be chaotic, bro.
You know what? It'll be fun for us. Because, look, it's going to give
I'm
you guys.
I'm enjoying. I'm enjoying regardless. It'll matter whatever.
Look, it's going to give you guys, content for the shows, and I know y'all are more fans of the NFL than I am. So it's I know Adam especially loves watching the chaos and what goes on, and
I love
how everything impacts each other.
I think especially as the NFL product in terms of officiating has just gotten awful. I still watch games, right? But I love and both Ryan and I are like this. We love the team building aspect of seeing how teams.
That's my thing. The team building aspect.
That's our thing. And so I think for me as a Saints fan, especially the last couple of kind of like this last offseason going into DA's first season, it was just so many things that just didn't make sense from a team building perspective. It just didn't make any football sense. And it was just what are we doing?
Well, what are we doing? The CJ Gardner-Johnson trade is the prime example.
Spite.
I still need someone to break that down to me and explain to me where the logic is in giving this guy away to the Eagles of all teams, who you already made, we'll call it a questionable trade with. Yes. Someone needs to explain that logic to me. How does this happen?
Especially because if you have other teams who didn't know he was available and that would have offered you more, that's a trade of spite. Something he said something to DA personal. And DA didn't like it, and it's I'm going to send a message. I'm going to get your ass out of here. You can't and Sean Payton did this at times, and sometimes it worked out great, and sometimes it didn't. But you have to be careful when you do things like that because it can backfire. Obviously the CD trade backfired.
I think the thing that upsets me the most about this team, and this has been this way for forever, is the lack of respect for draft picks. It goes back to the team building aspect that you guys just mentioned. That's
Ricky Williams trade.
That's a prime example. And I remember when that happened, man. We were excited because we were getting for the first time one of the marquee players, and to get Ricky Williams on the team after the college career he had, we were excited. Yeah. We knew it was a stupid trade. You can't give up all that capital for a running back. But I think the Saints just have never had the proper respect for accumulating draft picks and actually using them, to move up and down the board. Prime example, Tommy Stevens, what was that, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
The Cesar Ruiz draft.
2020, baby.
They threw away a few late-round picks to get this guy to keep him away from the Panthers.
Right.
As a joke.
Christ.
As a giggle.
Yeah, just as a Joe Lombardi, we can't let Joe Lombardi get one on us. Not Joe Lombardi. Joe Brady, I'm sorry.
Joe Brady, yeah.
And think about it, though. What round was Marcus Colston picked in?
Exactly.
Round 7.
Just the same round you're throwing away to just stick it to one of your former colleagues. It's just stupid.
Dumb.
It's stupid. And there's just – I really wish that they would – I don't want to say the Cleveland Browns, the Moneyball approach with the draft picks that they did. But, look, I love the idea of getting as many draft picks as you can get.
Mm-hmm.
Darts, man.
Move up and down the board.
Dart throws.
It's like buying lottery.
Lottery there you go.
Yeah, 100%. You know what I mean? You buy one lottery ticket for the Powerball, you're probably not going to win. Obviously, if you buy 20 of them, you're still probably not going to win, but your chances of winning
increases
go up. And with the late rounds being such a crapshoot, man, give me as many at bats as possible. I don't want to be like Rome said. You're expected to hit on those first round picks. So let's assume teams they don't hit on the first round picks, which is the craziest. The fact that 3 first round picks have given us Peyton Turner and Marcus Davenport is disgusting.
It has set the franchise back years.
That should be exactly. That should be 3 high-end starters.
Starters.
Instead,
Not even
we have
man. I don't think
call it starters.
just a starter.
Just a starter.
Like
Starter,
yes.
bro.
And what do we have instead? We have 2 broken down defensive ends that don't play for whatever reason.
Insane.
And it's sickening, man. I'll never forget that. We went to see, I think it was Avengers Infinity War, the night of the draft, where we picked Davenport.
Yeah.
And I'm walking, I had my phone off for the whole movie, and I'm walking out. I turned my phone on right when the movie's over. And my buddy Nick texts me, and he's like, we just fucking traded up to get Marcus Davenport.
Yeah.
I was just like, all right, dude, I'm signing off. I don't have anything to say. I just saw a great movie.
Great
Let me
movie.
enjoy this.
I got married that weekend. That was the weekend I was getting married. So I wasn't paying attention at all to the draft.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, you know what I'm saying? Like, first of all, this dude better ball. And I'm like, what the hell are they thinking, man? Like,
it's sad, man. And
team building,
look,
bro. Goes back to team building.
Look, man, Adam, I get your logic on, if it's the Panthers, give us the 9th pick, take your swing this year. I just don't know if we have the capital without giving up, like we said, whether it's a Lattimore or a Ramczyk or somebody. I'm fine giving up. I'll give up anybody for a quarterback because the quarterback's the most important position. But
this has been such a topic even today. I think Ryan had brought it up in the Saints Career Discord of just what is the answer at quarterback, and he kind of laid out the 3 options. It's kind of going, one option is going balls to the wall. If Lamar is available, as an example, potentially trying to get him, or getting like a reclamation project like a Jordan Love or Trey Lance, or like, do you sign a vet and then maybe draft a quarterback? I just feel, and Ryan said this on the pod extensively, like, even if you give us one more year of Andy Dalton, which I do think is a possibility, which is sad to say, like, it can't just be Andy, bro. Like, you got to give us Andy and someone that's sitting for a seat, like something. But like, if they go into next season and it's like, oh, there wasn't enough quarterback that, but like, nah, like at that point we got to riot. Like, there's something that has to be done.
Yeah. And look, I look in the Discord, I check it out whenever I can. I don't post as much in there, but I kind of see what's going on in there. I don't know what the answer is either, man. But honestly, that's the fun part of it, because we're all speculating, like saying, this is what I would do. And my thought process on what I think they should do is a little bit different than yours, but that's fun to debate. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because we don't know which approach is going to work, and honestly, neither of them might work. They could both flame out. But I think it's going to be fun to see it. When you think about it, the Saints have only picked one quarterback in the first round in their history.
Ryan talks about it often.
And that's an amazing stat that I don't think it's talked about enough.
Right.
And
people are like, oh, we're going to draft so-and-so. I'm like, maybe, but show me the proof.
It's like maybe, but probably not.
Right.
And I'll be honest with you, man. From growing up as a kid and being a big football card collector, I would love for other reasons for the Saints to draft a quarterback in the first round. Give me something to get behind. Give me something to get excited about. I won't be expecting a playoff run in the first year. But I'll be excited to watch the growth and the evolution of that player.
Like, I think a perfect example of that is the Chicago Bears, right? Like, they traded 2 firsts to get Justin Fields, and I know, although I don't think Justin Fields has like any talent around him, but imagine being a Bears fan where you're picking number 1 overall in this draft, but Justin Fields just gave you that season of just excitement and hope and just like I want to feel that. Like, give me that. Like, give me that, and we can work on everything else. But like Ryan said, just going into the season, just feeling like dread and just like, where is this going? Like, that's not fun, man. Like, as fans, like that is not fun at all.
Let me say this though. Our division is such trash that there is a scenario Like, let's go ahead and assume Tom Brady's played his last game for the Bucks.
Yeah.
Let's say, the Panthers don't get Peyton and they don't get a quarterback and they roll with Sam Darnold again. The Falcons are rolling with Desmond Ridder, we can assume at this point.
Right.
There is a scenario where the Saints could get, I'm going to throw his name out here, Derek Carr. Someone of that range.
Give me.
And they would probably win the division if they just have decent health and just have, don't lose too much in free agency and all that.
Well, I think,
Yeah.
and I think that's how the team. If you listen to Mickey's presser, he still thinks that they can contend, right or wrong. Like that's where they feel. That's why they didn't draft a quarterback. That's why they didn't draft Kenny Pickett last year. It's why they went with Jameis, and they wanted to get more talent on the team and getting 2 first-round picks. I 100% believe, like, in their front office, that's the discussions they're having right now.
Yeah.
Of saying, like, we can win the NFC South, which is fair. Right. But it's like, are we, like, can we look a little, like, I get it. You got to win your division first. But, like,
Right.
what is, like, the bigger picture? Because even if you win the NFC South and you get a home game, were they going to beat the Cowboys? Like,
They would have put up a better fight than the Bucks did.
I don't know, bro.
not in the current health of how their offensive line was, how
That's
it
true.
ended the season. like the Dallas defense would have been all over the Saints offense.
The Bucks looked inept. They looked like
they
a
did.
high school team.
100%. But I like the whole Derek Carr thing. Like, I know people don't like him. Like I said in the Discord, bro. Like, and I don't think he's available. But if you can get a Kirk Cousins, bro, bring me Kirk Cousins. Like Derek Carr,
Easily.
Kirk Cousins. Like,
Yeah.
Give me an answer to the question, and hopefully we get whatever that answer is, whatever it may be, sooner rather than later.
But look at the rest of the team at this point. So let's say you're able to get a Kirk Cousins or a Derek Carr. Let's just say you get reasonable health. Like, I'm not
Okay.
asking for, injury-free season, because obviously injuries are going to happen.
Right.
I'm asking for us not to have the apocalypse of injuries that we've had the last 2 seasons. Just to say you have reasonable injury luck.
You're
That
gonna miss.
team is
You're gonna
probably winning the division. Now,
Yes.
they're not going to win a Super Bowl.
right.
But they're probably going to win the division and, might win a game in the playoffs. Maybe 2.
I think a big thing fans need to also realize is that the whole AK and May, not that May made a big difference, but whatever, not being suspended I highly expect both of them to be suspended at least 6 games to start next season.
Yeah.
Then I think, and that just go ahead.
I would trade AK at this point. I'll be honest with you. If the rumors that were floating around, during the trade deadline, where I think they said something, I've heard Buffalo was sniffing around him.
Buffalo.
Yeah,
But
and,
I just don't know what I don't think it kind of goes back to the whole Marcus Davenport thing. They could have got a second from the Rams from Marcus Davenport trade deadline.
and that's just completely irresponsible not to take that.
So I think with AK, the way I look at it is that, okay, if he's going to miss 6 games, what is his trade value? And then if you give me the solution of, like, we could draft Gibbs in the second and maybe trade AK, I don't know, for a 4th. Then
hold on. I'm gonna give you AK's trade value. It's Christian McCaffrey this year, in that, not from a production standpoint. What I'm gonna say is, or for the compensation standpoint, McCaffrey got traded right at the trade deadline.
Right.
San Francisco, in every game he has played, has won that game. Now, I know he's missed 1 or 2 games. They've won every game he's played in. So that's the upside. Maybe Buffalo, they don't have any real running back production for the first 6 or 7 weeks. Trade deadline, they say, hey, we're going to be picking,
Man.
second to last pick of each round. Fuck it. Here's a second.
But the Saints don't operate like that.
They don't
operate like that.
But there's rumors floating around that Kamara and the front office are not seeing eye to eye.
I could just see that conditional 3rd round pick a mile away, bro. I could see it.
Honestly, bro,
Conditional 3rd round.
if I'm AK and how Pete used him throughout the season on 3rd downs, bro, I'd be like,
Get me out of here.
Get me out of here too. It was a disaster. I'm not saying the side is right or wrong. I'm just saying, like, the way he was deployed this season, the fact that David Johnson in some games run more routes than him, Like what are
And
we
if
doing?
you watch the last game, how hard AK played,
Yeah.
how hard he ran,
Yeah.
it was almost like he was showing himself not just for the Saints but for the league. Like, look,
That's exactly what I was thinking.
still that dude. I'm still that dude.
That was,
like,
that was his audition. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was his audition, his tape that he's putting out for the rest of the league saying, I'm still me, come get me. But the reality is, what is he? He's 27 or 28?
And
Yeah.
and whoever trades for him knows that he's not going to play for probably six games next season.
Right.
Right.
But if you're trading him to a contender, do they really care?
Yeah, they don't really care.
You know, look
Probably
at
not.
the Bills. The Bills can get by without him till week
Oh, yeah.
week 9.
like
for
the
sure.
Bills throw a second round pick, and he start. Like, come on now, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
Easy.
But think about it, though. Kamara was a little bit older than the other running backs in that class when he was coming out. You know, because I remember looking at his age and I was like, motherfucker. Well, this dude's like 2 years older than McCaffrey. You know, and it's just, he's 28 years old for next season. Dude, running backs,
Yeah.
wheels fall off quick, man.
All off, man.
Look at David Johnson. David Johnson 4 years ago was, if not the top running back in the league, in the conversation.
David
Dude,
Johnson,
it's just-
Zeke, like, you can just name them. It's just
And
but the thing is, you're talking about him as a traditional running back. They need
Right.
to get him back in the pass game, man. Like, it's just like that. Whoever the offensive guru is that they bring in, if they bring somebody in, and they plan on keeping AK, like that needs to be like number 2 on the checkbox behind quarterback, obviously. Like,
yeah.
Yep.
he has to be a part of the answer because when they won
Yeah.
games this year, it was the games he played and was involved in the pass game.
The
It's
Raiders.
like, what the hell?
Hey man, I'll be honest with you. If I were a GM, I'm picking up running back each year in the draft. So
Absolutely.
give me another young, explosive guy. My guy this year, Jamil Gibbs. I love him. He's got some flashes of Kamara when he was coming out. He's an amazing receiver, but he's explosive.
Oh yeah,
You watch
he
him
is.
run these routes, out of the backfield, and then you watch him run. He's got juice. And I know Ian talks about it all the time on Twitter. We need that guy that when there's an 8-man box, this dude could take a corner or get past the first line and just make the defense pay. We don't have that. We got Kamara. We got Kamara, who's not really fast to begin with. Let's not anybody
Right.
mislead anyone. Like Kamara never was fast. He's
Yeah.
explosive. He's got that short area explosiveness,
Right.
and he's got the wiggle. Mark Ingram was the same thing, the short area explosiveness. David Johnson's not fast anymore.
No.
Who's
No.
the other guy? Benjamin. Benjamin, he's whatever. None of these guys, though, they don't threaten the edge. They're not going to take
No.
a play more than 20 yards.
No.
No.
And we need that. Like Jonathan Taylor a couple years ago. That would have been our guy, Jonathan Taylor. If
They did like Kenny Walker this year, but draft didn't work out like that.
Well, look at how he runs. There's explosive plays.
Oh yeah.
Like Travis Etienne, my guy. Like loved Etienne coming out. Like the last couple of years, my guys have been Dalvin Cook. That year 2017. Etienne 2 years ago, and then Gibbs this year coming up. That explosive
Right.
guy that is just going to make a defense pay.
Well, they need explosiveness on offense in general, right? Like they have it in
Right.
they have it on Olave, they have it in Shaheed. But they need more, obviously. But we're gonna wrap up. We went an hour and a half. Amazing
Amazing.
episode. I want to thank Max for setting all this up, for getting Roman on, and then staying on with us after just to talk shop. I know been wanting to get you on for the longest time. I'm glad for it to finally happen. You've been a supporter of mine, even back when I was doing the podcast with Nick, and the fact that you're still a supporter with me and Ryan, man, we truly, truly appreciate it. And obviously, I know you're going to be at the second annual STP meetup. I'm looking forward to it, man. Regardless, anything that happens, Saints aside, that's what makes this fan base special. The fact that we come together as community, we come together as family. I do want to give a quick shout out. If you haven't, there is a GoFundMe for Alan Keller, who we're trying to raise some funds for. We're going to close that this Friday. He's a crucial part in the New Orleans community and the Saints community in terms of hashtag tailgate together, just raising money to feed transient people around the city of New Orleans. And he's had just a very rough patch personally. So we as a Saints family wanted to get together and just look out for him, because that's what we do. So thank you so much for coming on, Max. We really appreciate it, man.
I got one
Hey,
quick one
man.
for Mex. Mex, is Sean Payton going somewhere this season? And if so, where?
I think he absolutely gets traded this season, this offseason. Man.
Where
You
your
know
money
what?
at?
I'm gonna try to will this into existence because in theory the compensation would be higher. Carolina.
Okay.
Compensation higher than number 9 or a pick next year.
Just a little bit more than just what the other teams would have to give up.
Right. Like
I will say this: I have a theory. I saw Ben Johnson today withdrew his name from consideration for the
Yep.
Panthers job.
Yep.
So I don't know, man. I'm kind of the conspiracy theory in me is like, hey, maybe Dan Campbell let him know a little something.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna throw it out on the limb. I'm gonna say Carolina.
Just like Bill Belichick congratulating the wrong Brian. Like, oh, whoops.
No, but no, man. Thanks for having me on. I had a great time talking with you guys, and yeah, you guys are doing great work. The best podcast out there. So
Love you,
keep
bro.
it up, man.
Love you,
Appreciate
bro.
it, man.
See you again.
Much love. See you at the next meetup, man. Love you, man.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Have a good night.
All right. And with that, we're out.
Peace.